We now come to the first substantive item on the agenda, which is the governing body terms of reference amendments as a result of our decision under the 10-year budget to disestablish the Auckland Council Investments Limited. And we have at the table already Warwick McNaughton and Alistair Cameron. And I'll invite you, please. Well, shall I first I'll put the motion to put it on the record. I'll move. Is there a seconder for that? Deputy Mayor Cashmore. And now invite Alistair to begin the presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, councillors. Look, I'm conscious I'm interrupting a far more interesting debate about representation issues, so I'll be brief. Following your decision to wind up ACIL in the long-term plan, you also agreed a memorandum of understanding with Ports of Auckland, which covered several issues. The paper before you today seeks to amend the terms of reference to the committees to give effect to that decision to disestablish ACIL and the memorandum of understanding that was put in place with Ports. So it makes clear that Finance and Performance has the authority to monitor financial and non-financial performance of Ports, extends audit and risks ambit to cover those entities, and puts in place the director appointment process that was agreed with Ports of Auckland. The one other thing we're looking to do today is that ACIL has previously represented Auckland Council at the Auckland International Airport's annual general meetings. We're looking for your approval of a delegation to our Chief Financial Officer to represent Council at those meetings. Where at all possible, we'll seek guidance from the relevant committees to guide that voting by the CFO, and if timeframes do not allow for the CFO to get that guidance from a relevant committee, we'll undertake to seek guidance from the Chair and Deputy Chair of the Appointments and Performance Review Committee. Happy to take questions.
Thank you very much, Alistair. Could I just draw governing body members' attention to changes to the resolutions outside of what Alistair has just briefed us on? We're using this opportunity to recommend to you two further changes in terms of reference. The first to add Councillor Greg Sayers as a member of the Civil Defence and Emergency Management Group Committee. That's been consulted with Greg. And the second is to amend the terms of reference to add to the Community Development and Safety Committee responsibilities to work with the 6 demographic advisory boards to give visibility to the issues important to their communities. And that's been consulted with Councillor Casey and also Councillor Hulse, because previously the demographic advisory panels worked to the Environment and Community Committee. So that's all of those recommendations are now open to, first of all, questions from governing body members. Councillor Hills.
Thank you, Chair. Just on C, which I totally support, but because not all members of the governing body are on that committee, will the panels still present to the governing body in other ways? Like, I totally support the working with, but I think the previous stance has been that they present to the governing body, so I just want to make sure that
that does not prohibit them from recommending to the governing body. Previously, they did it through the community, the Environment and Community Committee. The purpose of the change is that the Community Development and Safety Committee Chair is also the Chief Liaison Officer with the Demographic Advisory panels, and it made sense for those panels to report to that committee rather than Environment and Community. But do they have the opportunity to talk directly to the governing body? I don't think it's precluded. No.
Yeah, sorry, Chair. I knew all of that. I just was cognizant that they usually present to the committee of the whole. So I just make sure that was still happening, because I'm on both, so I don't care personally.
That's not changed by this recommendation, no. Marguerite, did you want to?
Yes, just to clarify, the requirement for reporting of the work program of the advisory panels is contained in the panel's terms of reference, and we're not changing those terms of reference. So the relationship and the oversight of Environment and Community Committee remains unchanged.
That's what I was wondering. I mean, I'm totally supportive of that, but I just wondering where it all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any further questions? Councillor Wayne Walker.
Yeah, I note the terms of reference of the Audit and Risk Committee, and quite obviously we've got the change around Ports of Auckland. I don't see any mention of the CRLL, the City Rail Link project. Quite obviously that's one of the most substantial projects that Council's involved with. There are risk issues around scope creep, change, escalation. So is that just an omission, or should that be in there?
Look, I think we'll take on board your point and go away and have a look at it. I haven't been involved directly in contemplating whether CRLL should be in that, but we'll go away and have a think about that and come back to you with some advice.
You know, I think the later report that we have today raises issues around risk and Council's role in that, so I'm assuming that that's just an omission. If that is the case, Mr Mayor, it would be useful to have an amendment around that. I'd be pretty confident that it needs to be added.
I'd like, Alistair has offered to come back to us and report on that. Before making any further amendment, I'd like to have a clear report from officials on the implications of that decision. So if needed, we can do it subsequently. I think you've got a good faith offer to have a look at that and how it fits into the overall terms of reference. I'd rather have a report to base our decision on rather than make an amendment now. Right. Councillor Simpson, then Councillor Darby.
No, I don't need mine.
Councillor Darby.
Sorry, you did say you were calling for a report, Mr Mayor. I'm one that tries to sort of stop reports when you could do it by memo. I think you do need, you're meaning memo, are you?
Yeah, look, I'm using the term report, not
Just
in
wanted
the,
to stop the
not with a
spending of
capital
$10,000,
R, but
that's
with
all.
a small r. They will report to us through a memo. Okay,
I thank you, Councillor Darby.
You may have saved a little bit of time with that clarification. Councillor Linda Cooper.
I'm just not sure, Mr Chairman, it's not up here, but looking at the changes when Councillor Newman took over from me as liaison councillor for the seniors panel, I can't see it on the list of changes anywhere over the last while, so I just wonder if it's an opportunity, but I've just got to find. It may be in the body of it, but it's not here. So.
We did move it, but can we seek clarification around that, Marguerite?
Yeah, we might have omitted it, in which case we will make that change at the same subsequent.
We've already made the decision, so it's simply, if it's not there, it's an
Just
omission
amending it, thank you.
from recording. Thank you for drawing that to the governing body's attention. Okay, if there's no further questions, are there any comments that members would like to make on this? Otherwise, I will move. Oh, sorry, Councillor Casey.
Well, just to say thank you. Every time we've had great experiences with the demographic advisory panels recently. They've inputted into the Auckland plan in a major way and had a major impact. And what councillors are saying is we'd like to hear more from them. They're saying they'd like to get to know us better so that they can be more effective. This is one mechanism for doing that. It's about relationships with the panels and using them. They are keen to work. We're keen to work them. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Councillor. If there's no further comment, I'll put the four recommendations together. I don't think we need to split them. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary, no. Carried. Now,